If you want a place that feels calm, beautiful, and full of opportunity, Prince Edward Island is honestly hard to beat. PEI combines small-town coastal charm with a real economy behind it. In March 2026, the province's unemployment rate was 7.3%, with 96,000 people employed. That means people are working, industries are growing, and the island is not just pretty, it's productive. On top of that, the average family after-tax income in PEI was $71,910, and the average hourly wage was $29.50.
And the jobs are not only one-dimensional either. PEI offers strong opportunities in health and social services, agriculture, tourism, and much more. In fact, over the past year, PEI saw job gains of 1,200 in information, culture, and recreation, and 1,100 in professional, scientific, and technical services. So whether you're creative, business-minded, hands-on, or community-focused, there's room for you there.
PEI also gives you something a lot of people want right now, a stronger sense of safety and quality of life. Their crime severity index is 72.6, which was below the national rate of 77.9. So, when people picture PEI as peaceful, that image is backed up by data.
And finally, PEI is not isolated from the world. It is exporting at record levels. In 2025, international exports reached about $2.68 billion, the highest the province has reached in history. Its top exports include frozen, prepared, and fresh potatoes, frozen lobster, and aerospace products like turbo propellers. So PEI is not just a nice place to visit. It's a place for momentum. If you want ocean views, opportunity, and a lifestyle that feels a little bit more human, PEI starts to look.
Forget everything you know about small provinces because Prince Edward Island is quietly becoming one of Canada's greatest economic stories. Wages here are growing at 4.9% year over year. That's the second fastest in the entire country. The median family income sits at around $91,500 Canadian, and that number, it just keeps climbing. Employment just hit an all-time record high of 95,500 jobs in January 2026. This island does not show any signs of slowing down, it shows only signs of speeding up. And here's the kicker. The economy grew at 3.8% in 2024. That's nearly double the national average. So while Canada was sleeping and playing catch-up, Prince Edward Island was sitting there already winning.
But it's not just about the money, it's about the quality of life you actually get for that money. PEI has one of the lowest crime rates in the country. The crime severity score sits at 72.4, which is well below the national average. Violent crime here is genuinely rare, so you're not just buying into a growing economy, you're buying into a pretty relaxed way of life. And the industries driving this are agriculture, tourism, healthcare, construction, and seafood. Tourism just hit its best year ever in 2024. Construction employment is still on an all-time high, manufacturing shipments have broken records, and every major indicator is pointing up right now for PEI. On the export side, $2.4 billion in goods shipped in 2023, mostly processed potatoes, frozen seafood, and some pharmaceuticals and aerospace manufacturing. For a province for under 180,000 people, PEI is small, but there's a lot of opportunity there.
Bienvenue au Québec. Ce n'est pas qu'une belle carte postale avec de la neige et du sirop d'érable, c'est une économie de 481 milliards de dollars.
People don't always realize how unlivable it is to live in Quebec financially. The median household income for one person is $72,500 per year, and a couple takes around $90,000 after taxes. Your dollar is genuinely stretches out here further than ever in the country.
Et le chômage, en 2024, le Québec affichait les taux les plus bas de toutes les provinces canadiennes, 5,3%. Si vous voulez travailler ici, vous travaillez. C'est si simple que ça.
And the work here is genuinely exciting. Montreal is the top 3 capital of the aerospace technologies out there in the world. Bombardier, SAE, Pratt & Whitney, all here. Also, alongside with the boom innovation of tech scene and a life science, with the Pritzker, Moderna, and Merck operating all here in the province.
Et pour des exportations, plus de 8 milliards de dollars par an en produits alimentaires. Le Québec est aussi le 4e producteur mondial de luminants primaires.
On the safety, Quebec consistently scores the lowest on Canada's crime severity index, which makes this province one of the safest out there in the country.
Et pourquoi on parle français ici? parce que le Québec était une colonie française bien avant que le Canada existe. C'est pour ça aujourd'hui, le Canada est officiellement bilingue. Sans le Québec, il n'y aurait pas de Français sur ton boîte céréales.
And a fun fact, Quebec controls around 72% of the world's maple syrup production. And in 2012, the thieves took around 3,000 tons of maple syrup over 3 months. Do they try to replace it with water to make sure that no one will notice? And at the end of the day, it was the expensiest thief story in the whole Canada's history. C'est ça, la Québec!
Polar bears, beluga whales, the northern lights, all in the same place. And that's just one town. Welcome to Manitoba, Canada's most underrated province. Let's get into it. So, where is Manitoba? Dead center of Canada. The longitudinal center of the entire country is right here. The capital, Winnipeg, sits where the Red and Assiniboine rivers meet, a meeting place that's been active for over 6,000 years. Today, it's home to more than 750,000 people, and it's over 100 different ethnic groups, one of the most multicultural cities in the country. But the place that really puts Manitoba on the map, Churchill, a town of under 900 people, about 1,000 kilometers north of Winnipeg. Every fall, polar bears gather on the shores of Hudson Bay, waiting for the ice to form. You can watch them from specially built tundra buggies. In summer, 57,000 beluga whales pour into Churchill River estuary. You can kayak, snorkel, swim alongside them. And the northern lights, Churchill sees the aurora up to 300 nights a year, top 3 on the entire planet. And one more thing, locals in Churchill leave their car doors unlocked at all times, not because of crime, because of polar bears.
Alright, let's talk about what actually like to live here. Manitoba have about 1.5 million people, and it's actually the youngest province in Canada right now, with a median age of 37.3. For the income, the median household income set around 79,000 Canadian dollar per year. The average individual income is about 58,000. And here's what makes it stand out. The average house price in Manitoba is around $321,000 compared to over $1 million in Vancouver or Toronto. And the unemployment rate in 2024 is 5.4%. It's the second lowest among Canadian provinces. The job market is stable. And the biggest industry, healthcare and social service, is the top employer. The manufacturing, there's over 26.6 billion in sales in 2024 alone, mostly food manufacturing and machinery. Agriculture is also massive here. Manitoba produces over 12% of all Canadian farmland crops and is the country's #1 producer of sunflower seed and dry beans. Manitoba hydropower not just the province, but also export electricity to neighboring province and US states. And here's a fun economy fact. Winnipeg's Royal Canadian Mint, it produces all of Canadian circulation coins. It makes coins for over 60 governments around the world. And you can see like people will be skating on the lake. That was the most surprising thing for me. I never thought this could be a way to commute.
Now for the stuff nobody tells you about Manitoba. Winnie the Pooh, that's here. A soldier from Winnipeg brought a real bear cub named Winnie to London during World War I. A kid named Christopher Robin fell in love with her at the London Zoo, and his father, A.A. Milne, wrote the entire series named after Winnipeg. Winnipeg is also the Slurpee capital of the world, more Slurpees per capita than any city on earth, in minus 30 degrees weather. There are over 100,000 lakes in Manitoba. One of them actually changes color with the temperature. And Gilmy, Manitoba, largest Icelandic community outside of Iceland, full Viking festival every summer. Manitoba has something for everyone. This is Canada's heartland and it's absolutely worth the trip.
Ontario is Canada's most populated province at over 16 million people. It runs the country's economy and it's home to some of the most recognizable names in music and sports, and it's one of the most diverse places on the planet. Toronto is the center of it all. Almost 47% of the people in the Toronto area were born outside of Canada, and the city has over 250 different ethnicities and 175 languages spoken. No single group runs the city. It's genuinely one of the most mixed places in the world. The economy backs that up. Ontario contributes close to 40% of Canada's entire GDP. RBC and TD Bank are both headquartered in Toronto. Shopify is out of Ottawa. Google, Microsoft, and Amazon all have major offices there. Tech jobs are paying $90,000 to over $150,000. Finance is $80,000 to $140,000. Healthcare runs from $70,000 to $120,000. Rent for a one-bedroom in downtown Toronto runs about $2,090 a month right now, which is something to plan around, but Toronto is not the whole picture. Ottawa is the nation's capital and way more affordable. Kitchener-Waterloo is one of Canada's biggest tech hubs and cheaper to live in than Toronto. Hamilton, Windsor, London, Kingston, they all have their own thing going on. You also have things like Niagara Falls and the Great Lakes. This province has a lot outside the cities too.
Sports culture here is real. The Raptors, Maple Leafs, and the Blue Jays. The Raptors won the NBA title in 2019 and the city shut down. Game days in Toronto are a whole experience. And the music. Drake is from Toronto. The Weeknd grew up in Scarborough. Justin Bieber was born in London, Ontario. Three of the biggest artists in the world, all from one single province. Ontario doesn't really need to sell itself. The numbers and names do that on their own.
Moving on to Newfoundland and Labrador. Newfoundland and Labrador has a resource-based economy with major industries including oil and gas, mining, fisheries, forestry, and tourism. These sectors contribute significantly to the province's GDP and provide many employment opportunities. Major jobs are found in offshore energy, construction, fishing, public services, and transportation. As of March 2026, unemployment was around 9.5%, which is above the Canadian average, although lower than the province's long-term norm. Household income is relatively strong, with a median income of about $103,000 and an average income around $125,000. The province's key strengths include its rich natural resources such as crude oil, seafood, iron ore, hydroelectricity, and wind power. However, Newfoundland and Labrador faces economic risks such as volatile commodity prices, changing project cycles, and reliance on remote communities that can be more costly to support and develop. In terms of quality of life, Newfoundland and Labrador is known for its strong sense of community, beautiful coastal scenery, and slower-paced lifestyle. While healthcare access is good in major centers, more remote areas can face challenges. Crime rates are generally low to moderate, with violent crime rates below the national average, making many areas feel safe. However, some rural or isolated communities may experience property-related issues. Tourism is also a major attraction, with destinations such as Gros Morne National Park, the colorful city of St. John's, and Iceberg Alley, which is popular for whale watching and iceberg viewing. Overall, Newfoundland and Labrador offers a stable economy supported by natural resources, good incomes, and a high quality of life while continuing to diversify for future growth. If that wasn't enough to convince you to consider Newfoundland and Labrador, maybe this will. This 1,685 square foot home costs $70,000 and is in the capital city of Newfoundland and Labrador. It may not be the most beautiful house, but is still cheaper than buying this parking spot in Vancouver, BC. Thank you.
Let's talk about Alberta. Nearly 5 million people and with the highest median income of any province. And on top of that, no provincial tax.
Wait, so there's no sales tax?
Nope, no sales tax. You only pay 5% federal GST tax, no provincial tax on every single purchase.
Alright, so Alberta's basically already winning. The median household income here is around $137,900, and it's the highest of any province in Canada. There's no PST, so that means more of the money is actually going to stay in your pocket. The economy runs on energy, agriculture, and a growing tech sector. Calgary has more head offices per capita than any other city in the country.
Edmonton is the capital. Government, healthcare, education, steady work, lower cost of living, and housing. An average house in Calgary costs about $640,000. You think that's a lot until you look at Vancouver. That's sitting at over 1.2 million, and Toronto's sitting at over 1 million.
And if you guys like the outdoors, Banff is only about 90 minutes from Calgary, and Lake Louise is just about over 2 hours. Some of the most photographed landscapes in the world are basically in your backyard.
The Calgary Stampede is 10 days long, and nearly 1.5 million people come out. It's the world's largest outdoor rodeo.
And we can't forget about hockey. The Oilers and the Flames, two of the most storied NHL franchises, and they're both here in Alberta. The Battle of Alberta is basically a provincial personality trait.
Yep. No PST, strong income, mountains on the weekend, and hockey all year.
If you want the money, the mountains, and a province that actually gives you room to live, Alberta is where you should be.
Yep.
Colombia, on Canada's west coast, is home to about 5.66 million people as of January 2026, making it the third largest province. It's one of the highest incomes in Canada, with BC workers enjoying the second highest average hourly wage nationwide, and its economy growing faster than other large provinces since 2017. Employment is strong. The unemployment rate at around 6.7% at March 2026 has seen job growth in construction, manufacturing, tech, and health. Major industries include technology and film, such as Vancouver's booming tech scene, and a film TV sector that spent about $3.7 billion in 2023 on productions. Tourism, which generated roughly $23 billion in gross revenue in 2024, is also a large contributor. BC's export economy is led by natural resources, historically softwood lumber and minerals, but today metallurgical coal is our top export by value. For Vancouver Fraser, is Canada's busiest, moving a record 158 million tons of cargo in 2024, connecting BC to global markets. BC also shines in sustainability and quality of life. About 97% of BC electricity comes from clean, renewable sources, mostly hydropower, powering our industries and major projects like LNG terminals. The province has invested heavily in clean energy infrastructure and continues opening major projects such as LNG Canada. Challenges remain, however. BC's housing market is one of Canada's tightest, with Metro Vancouver median home prices requiring roughly $273,000 in income to buy, the worst affordability in the country. Despite this, BC's cities rank extremely high on livability. Vancouver was just named the most livable city in North America and 10th globally, thanks to strong healthcare, education, stability, and environment. Public safety has improved too. Police report crime fell to 11% in 2024 to its 6-year low, the largest drop in Canada, reflecting investments in policing and community programs. In short, British Columbia combines a diverse economy and global connectivity with world-class lifestyle amenities. It offers high incomes and many job opportunities in tech, natural resources, and tourism, powered by clean energy and a top-tier port. Coupled with vibrant cities and stunning nature, this makes BC an extremely attractive place to live and work.
Yukon is Canada's smallest and one of its least populated territories, located in the northwest corner of the country, next to Alaska and just above British Columbia. In 2023, the median after-tax income for Yukon families was $84,500. That's higher than every Canadian province except Alberta. In Whitehorse specifically, households earn about $123,000 before tax, roughly 16% above the national average. Yukon's 2025 unemployment rate was 4.2%, which is the lowest in Canada. Nearly half of all workers here are in the public sector, which means stable, well-paid jobs and consistent demand for skilled labor. The grocery costs more up north, but housing doesn't. Almost 87% of Whitehorse residents spend less than 30% of their income on housing. Every resident also qualifies for the Northern Residence Deduction, worth around $4,000 a year per adult. And the economy is moving. Mineral exports grew 57% from 2023 to 2024. Mining alone makes up about 37% of exports, driven mostly by gold and silver. And 74.4% of working age are either working or actively job hunting, which is a sign of a healthy, active economy where people believe the jobs are there.
It is home to 3 national parks, Kulini National Park, Ivavik National Park, and Vintuk. It also has Mount Logan, which is the highest peak in Canada, just under 6,000 meters, as well as the world's smallest desert, which is only 1 square mile in size. Yukon has a very unique lifestyle, as there's many unique activities. For example, dog sledding in the Yukon dates back over 100 years and is home to the 1,000-mile Yukon Quest, which is one of the toughest dog sledding races in the world. You're also able to canoe through one of the largest untouched river systems in North America, and of course hiking is very popular as well. Yukon ranks among one of the happiest regions in Canada, with 86.9% of residents reporting high life satisfaction. It also ranks second in the country for perceived health and has a stronger sense of community than the national average. Now, culture and community. The Yukon is home to a very strong Indigenous presence, with roughly 25% of the population identifying as First Nations, and there are many cultural events to participate in. And finally, immigration. The Yukon Nominee Program helps fast-track entrepreneurs and skilled workers to permanent residency. There's a strong labor demand across tourism, construction, and service industries, and there's also many financial incentives. For example, Yukon Business Investment Tax Credit offers tax credits up to 25% for investing in eligible Yukon businesses, which encourage local business growth, and startup funding. Thank you.
In 2024, Saskatchewan exported $45 billion worth of goods to 161 countries. They export potash, which is a fertilizer, and they produce over 30% of the world's potash. They also export uranium as one of the main components of clean energy, and they export as well wheat and oil. As for workforce, healthcare is the fastest growing sector. It went up over 12% in jobs last year. And then there's what they call the Silicon Prairie. Saskatchewan's tech sector grew 108% in 5 years, driven by ag tech and mining innovation. As for safety, Saskatchewan does rank higher than the national average on the Crime Severity Index, but it dropped 5% in 2024, and they are fixing it. In 2026, they just funded a dedicated hospital public safety teams in 3 major cities. And finally, it's a strong province in terms of affordability. While Vancouver's rent averages around $2,900 a month, and in Toronto around $2,600 a month, Regina's average is $1,379.
Nova Scotia is one of Canada's smaller provinces, but it does have a pretty strong economy for its size. The average annual household income is $70,000, and the biggest industries are Nova Scotia's seafood and fishing. It's very well known for its lobster, plus its ocean technology and defense. Halifax is the main hub and drives most of the economic activity.
On the job side of things, healthcare, education, and the public sector are the biggest employers in Nova Scotia. And the province does a lot of tourism. They're known for a lot of their trails, lakes, Peggy Cove. It's another place of stuff like that. And then their exports are mostly fish, seafood, and then tires. Michelin has one of the biggest manufacturing plants there in Nova Scotia, so they're massive there. And then unemployment rate sits around 7 to 8%, so it is a little bit above national average.